They laughed at my pitch. I didn't. My name is Luke Dean. I'm 32, an entrepreneur in San Francisco. I'm quiet, reserved, the one who listens, never confronts. I value hard work, trust, and vision. When people betray me, I don't argue. I stay silent. I remember everything. And I plan. San Francisco's skyline shimmered with promise as I walked into the glass tower of Pinnacle Ventures, my laptop heavy with a dream I'd built from nothing. My startup, Nexus AI, was my life's work, a platform to streamline data analytics for small businesses, born from late nights coding in my Mission District apartment. I poured 2 years into it, scraping by on freelance gigs, my vision clear, a tool that could level the playing field for the little guy. Pinnacle, a top-tier VC firm, had invited me to pitch, their emails full of encouragement. I stood in their sleek boardroom, my slides ready, believing I was on the cusp of something big. The room buzzed with possibility. I walked the investors through Nexus, its algorithms, its user-friendly design, the beta test that had small businesses raving. I spoke of my parents, small shop owners who'd struggled with data, inspiring my work. The partners nodded, their pens moving, and I felt the warmth of their interest. This could disrupt the market, I said, my voice steady, my slides showing real user data. They asked sharp questions, and I answered with precision, my code a language they seemed to respect. This is it, my inner voice said, alive with hope. You're building the future. After the pitch, they shook my hand, their smiles wide. Impressive, Luke, one partner said, his tone warm. I left the tower, the city's hum electric, picturing the deal that would fund Nexus's launch. I called my best friend, Sam, my voice bright as I recounted their reactions. They get it, I told him, pacing my apartment, the Golden Gate Bridge postcard on my desk a reminder of my roots. I trusted Pinnacle, trusted their reputation for backing visionaries. I saw myself in their portfolio, my startup a beacon for others like me. I didn't see the cracks beneath their smiles. I didn't notice the partner who checked his watch, or the whispered aside as I packed my laptop. I was too caught up in the dream, late nights coding, user feedback lighting up my inbox, the belief that hard work and vision would carry me. You're almost there, my inner voice said, warm with pride. They see what you built. I didn't know their nods were empty, their questions a performance. I didn't know my passion, my code, my dream, would soon be a punchline in a room I trusted. But when the truth came, I remembered every glance, every handshake, every moment I thought I'd won them over. The glow of my pitch to Pinnacle Ventures faded as I sat in my Mission District apartment, the San Francisco fog curling outside my window. I'd left their glass tower believing in their handshakes, their nods, but now, replaying the meeting, I saw details I'd missed. One partner, a sharp-eyed woman named Claire, had glanced at her phone mid-pitch, her smile thin. Another, an older man with a clipped voice, had scribbled notes but avoided my eyes when I explained Nexus AI's algorithms. Their questions, sharp at first, turned vague, interesting but scalable. Their tone polite but distant. I told myself it was just their style, big investors playing cool. They're interested, I thought, my laptop open to my pitch slides. They have to be. Days passed with no word. I emailed Claire, thanking her for the opportunity, asking for feedback. Her reply was curt. Creative concept, Luke, but needs refinement. No specifics, no follow-up. I sat at my desk, the Golden Gate Bridge postcard a quiet anchor, and felt a prickle of unease. I'd poured 2 years into Nexus, code refined in midnight sprints, user tests glowing with praise from small businesses. Yet Pinnacle's silence felt like a door closing. It's just process, I told myself, sipping coffee gone cold. They're busy. But my mind, wired to spot patterns, started logging their signals. Claire's glance, the man's averted eyes, the vagueness that didn't match their reputation. I saw it again at a tech mixer Pinnacle hosted, where I'd hoped to reconnect. I stood in the crowd, my tie neat, my pitch ready to revisit. Claire passed by, her laugh sharp as she spoke to another founder, her eyes skipping over me. I overheard the older partner, joking about pipe dreams with a colleague, his voice carrying a tone that stung. I didn't confront them. I smiled, nodded at acquaintances, and sipped my drink, but my mind was a ledger, noting every glance, every word. They're not taking you seriously, my inner voice whispered, no longer hopeful, but alert, like a switch flipping on. Back home, the city's hum a faint pulse. I sifted through the meeting in my mind. Their half-smiles, their rushed goodbyes. The way Claire's refinement felt like dismissal. I thought of my parents, their small shop struggling without tools like Nexus, and how I'd built it for them, for others like them. Pinnacle's disinterest wasn't just rejection. It was a slight, a shadow cast over my work. They think you're small, my inner voice said, sharper now, cataloging every moment. But you see, I didn't call or argue. I kept coding, kept working, my silence a shield as I began to question, to watch, to prepare for something I couldn't yet name. The email from Pinnacle Ventures landed in my inbox on a foggy San Francisco morning. The subject line, a cold Nexus AI pitch. I sat at my desk, the Golden Gate Bridge postcard catching the dim light, expecting feedback, maybe a chance to revise. Instead, the message was brutal. Your concept is unrealistic, Luke. Not a fit for our portfolio. I read it again, my coffee untouched, the words sinking in like a punch. But it was the memory of the pitch meeting that hit harder. Claire's smirk, the older partner's chuckle as I packed my laptop, their laughter echoing as I left their tower. They hadn't just rejected Nexus AI. They'd mocked it, my 2 years of code and dreams dismissed as a joke. I called Sam, my best friend, to confirm. He'd heard from a contact at Pinnacle. They'd laughed in a follow-up meeting, calling my platform a pipe dream for small fries. Claire had imitated my earnest pitch, her colleagues roaring. The humiliation burned, not loud but deep, a quiet fire in my chest. I pictured my parents' shop, the late nights I'd coded to help businesses like theirs, only to be ridiculed by suits who'd never understand. They laughed at you, my inner voice said, no longer hopeful but sharp, like a blade being drawn. I didn't storm their office or fire off an angry reply. I sat still, my apartment silent except for the city's hum, and let the sting settle. I walked to the mirror, my reflection calm, my eye steady. I trusted Pinnacle, believed their nods meant respect, but their laughter was a betrayal, not just of me, but of the vision I'd poured my soul into. I thought of my parents, their pride in my work, now tainted by this moment. They think you're nothing, my inner voice whispered, cold and certain. You'll show them you're not. The tech mixer that week was a test. I went, my tie neat, my smile practiced, and saw Claire across the room, her laugh sharp as she pitched another founder. She didn't see me, didn't know I heard her colleague mutter, like that Dean kid's pitch, cute but useless. I nodded at a passing acquaintance, my drink untouched, my face a mask. Every word, every smirk was filed in my mind, a ledger of their scorn. I didn't argue or confront. I left early, the San Francisco fog thick around me, and vowed to remember every chuckle, every dismissal, every moment they thought I'd fade. Back home, I opened my laptop, Nexus AI's code glowing on the screen. The rejection wasn't the end, it was a beginning. They laughed, my inner voice said, steady and unyielding. But you're still building. I didn't need their money or their approval. I needed only what I'd always had, my code, my vision, and the patience to turn their mockery into my triumph. The laughter had cut, but it also sharpened my resolve, a quiet promise to make them regret every word. The San Francisco fog wrapped my apartment like a shroud, mirroring the weight of Pinnacle Ventures' rejection. Their laughter, Claire's smirk, the older partner's chuckle, played on a loop in my mind, each memory a sharp edge against the dream I'd built with Nexus AI. I kept coding, kept meeting clients, my face a mask of calm as I pitched freelance gigs to stay afloat. At tech meetups, I nodded, smiled, shook hands, but the sting of their mockery clung to me, quiet and relentless. Colleagues who'd once praised my ideas now echoed Pinnacle's verdict, their whispers of unrealistic and overambitious, isolating me further. I didn't argue. I stayed still, letting the hurt settle, heavy but controlled. My apartment became a refuge, its walls holding my silence. The Golden Gate Bridge postcard on my desk, a gift from my parents, felt like a lifeline to the vision I'd had, Nexus built for businesses like theirs. But now, doubt crept in, not in my code, but in the trust I'd placed in others. I saw it at a startup event. A founder I'd mentored clapped a Pinnacle partner on the back, their laughter loud, their eyes sliding past me. I stood in the corner, my drink untouched, my tie neat, my smile polite. They think you're finished, my inner voice whispered, no longer warm but steady, like a pulse finding its rhythm. Nights were heavier. I sat with my laptop, Nexus's code glowing, but the fire of that first pitch was dimmed. I thought of my parents, their shop struggles, the late nights I'd coded to give others a chance. Pinnacle's rejection wasn't just personal. It was a dismissal of that purpose. I didn't call Sam to vent or confront Claire at the next mixer. I sat alone, the city's hum faint through my window, and let the pain carve a space for something new. They laughed. My inner voice said, cold and clear, "But you're not done." I kept up appearances. To clients, I was Luke, the dependable coder, delivering clean work with a nod. To peers, I was the quiet one, fading into the background as they chased Pinnacle's approval. I saw Claire once, her laugh sharp at a coffee shop, pitching to another founder, oblivious to me across the room. I didn't approach. I watched, my mind a ledger, noting her confidence, the firm's sway, the way the industry bowed to their word. "They think you faded," my inner voice murmured, sharp as a blade. "That's your strength." In the quiet, I found clarity. My isolation wasn't defeat, it was a vantage point. Every slight, every whisper, every moment they thought I'd let go was fuel for something building inside me. I didn't need their validation or their pity. I needed their blindness, their belief that I'd break. "You're not broken, Luke," my inner voice said, unyielding. "You're preparing." I stood by my window, San Francisco's lights blurred in the fog, and felt the first stirrings of a plan, a quiet promise to turn their laughter into regret. The San Francisco fog pressed against my apartment window, but inside, my mind was clear, a blueprint forming in the silence. Pinnacle Ventures' laughter had cut deep, but it also sharpened my focus. My startup, Nexus AI, was still alive, its code my weapon, my vision my shield. I didn't confront Claire or her partners. I planned, my desk a fortress of notes, user data, and industry contacts. As an entrepreneur, I knew how to build from nothing, and now I'd use that to rebuild, not just Nexus, but my place in a world that had mocked me. "They think you're done," my inner voice said, cold and steady. "You're just beginning." I dove into Nexus's code, refining algorithms, streamlining the interface, making it sharper than what I'd pitched. I reached out to beta users, small businesses who'd love my platform, and asked for detailed feedback, their praise fuel for my comeback. But my plan went beyond Nexus. I turned my lens on Pinnacle, digging into their portfolio. Using industry forums and public filings, I found their missteps. Overfunded startups with shaky models, ignored market trends, a string of flops they'd buried under PR spin. I saved every article, every report, my laptop glowing late into the night. "They're not infallible," my inner voice noted, sharp as a blade. "You'll prove it." My strategy was precise. I contacted a rival VC firm, Apex Capital, through a burner email, sharing anonymized data on Pinnacle's weakest investments. Numbers that showed their genius was faltering. I didn't mention Nexus yet. I planted seeds, letting their doubts grow. I also reached out to my beta users, offering free access to Nexus's updated version, building a loyal base whose success would speak louder than Pinnacle's laughter. Every email, every connection, was untraceable, sent from coffee shop Wi-Fi, my face hidden in the city's hum. "They won't see you coming," my inner voice murmured, steady and deliberate. At tech meetups, I was still Luke, the quiet coder, nodding at small talk, my smile polite as peers chased Pinnacle's favor. Claire passed me once, her laugh sharp, unaware I was watching, cataloging her firm's vulnerabilities. I didn't flinch or speak up. I kept coding, kept building, my apartment a war room where I mapped Pinnacle's network, investors, partners, the startups they'd backed. Each name was a thread, each flaw a leverage point. I drafted pitches for Nexus, not to Pinnacle, but to smaller firms, readying a launch that would outshine their rejection. In the quiet of my apartment, the Golden Gate Bridge postcard caught the light, a reminder of my parents' belief in me. Their shop, their struggles, drove Nexus's purpose, and Pinnacle's mockery couldn't erase that. They laughed at your dream, my inner voice said, unyielding. You'll make it real. I didn't need their money or their approval. I needed only what I'd always had, my code, my patience, and a plan to turn their scorn into a stage for my triumph. The fog outside lifted, and so did my resolve, a quiet promise to make them beg for what they dismissed. The San Francisco skyline gleamed as I launched Nexus AI, my startup no longer a dream, but a force, unleashed without Pinnacle Ventures backing. Months of refining code and building a loyal user base, small businesses thriving on my platform, paid off. I secured seed funding from Apex Capital, the rival firm I'd tipped off about Pinnacle's shaky investments. Nexus went live, its analytics tools sparking buzz on tech forums, user reviews flooding in with praise. My apartment, once a quiet war room, now hummed with notifications, each one a testament to the vision Pinnacle had mocked. They laughed, my inner voice said, cold and steady. Now they're watching. I didn't stop at the launch. Using my anonymized tips, I'd fed Apex Capital more data on Pinnacle's flops, startups they'd overfunded, now crumbling under poor strategy. Tech blogs picked up the story, whispering about Pinnacle's missteps, their reputation wobbling. I sent a press release from a burner email, highlighting Nexus's metrics, user growth, revenue spikes, without mentioning Pinnacle. The industry noticed, and so did Claire's team. I saw her at a tech conference, her smile tight, as she fielded questions about missed opportunities. She didn't see me in the crowd, my face calm, my tie neat, my presence invisible. They're starting to feel it, my inner voice murmured, sharp with quiet triumph. Nexus's success was my first strike. Small businesses share their wins, cafes streamlining inventory, shops boosting sales, all thanks to my platform. Social media lit up, tagging Nexus, while Pinnacle's portfolio startups faltered. I watched their stock dip slightly, their partners' emails growing curt, my tips to Apex fueling the pressure. I didn't gloat or reveal my hand. I kept coding, kept meeting users, my desk a clutter of notes and coffee cups, my smile polite at meetups where Pinnacle's name drew raised brows. They think it's chance, my inner voice said, relishing the precision. But it's you. Claire called once, her voicemail hesitant. Luke, heard about Nexus. Let's talk. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. My platform's traction was my voice, louder than their laughter had been. I stood in my apartment, the Golden Gate Bridge postcard catching the light, and checked Nexus's dashboard, thousands of users climbing fast. I thought of my parents, their shop struggles, the dream I'd built for them. Pinnacle's rejection had been a wound, but my launch was a bandage, sealing it with proof of my vision. The city's hum pulsed outside, and I updated my plan, a mental ledger of Pinnacle's cracks, Claire's strained smile, their investors' doubts, their portfolio's decline. They mocked your dream, my inner voice whispered, calm and final. Now it's outshining them. This was just the first triumph, a step toward their regret. I didn't need their applause or their money. I needed only what I'd built, Nexus, my users, and the quiet certainty that their laughter would soon turn to desperation. The stage was set, and I was ready for the final act. Nexus AI was no longer a dream, but a force, its user base soaring, its analytics transforming small businesses across San Francisco and beyond. My quiet launch had turned heads, tech blogs hailing Nexus as the underdog disruptor, while Pinnacle Ventures' portfolio crumbled under their own missteps. The plan I'd crafted in silence, anonymous tips, strategic leaks, had weakened their reputation, their investors pulling back as Nexus's metrics climbed. I stood in my apartment, the Golden Gate Bridge postcard catching the dawn, when Claire's email arrived. Luke, let's discuss a partnership. Nexus is impressive. I read it, my face calm, their laughter from a year ago echoing faintly. They're begging now, my inner voice said, cold and steady. You made them. I agreed to meet at Pinnacle's glass tower, the same boardroom where they'd mocked me. Claire and the older partner, now subdued, greeted me with forced smiles, their pitch ready, a seven-figure deal to integrate Nexus into their portfolio. I sat across from them, my tie neat, my laptop closed, letting them talk. We underestimated you, Luke, Claire admitted, her voice tight, no trace of her old smirk. I nodded, my silence deliberate, their words filling the space where their laughter once rang. They thought you were nothing, my inner voice whispered, sharp and satisfied. Now they need you. I reveal my hand slowly. Nexus has other offers, I said, naming Apex Capital and two others, their interest fueled by my platform's traction. Their faces fell, Claire's pen still, the older partner shifting uncomfortably. I shared Nexus's numbers. Tens of thousands of users, revenue doubling monthly. Numbers they'd once called unrealistic. I didn't raise my voice or gloat. I let the truth speak, my success a mirror to their failure. You laughed, my inner voice murmured, calm and final. I built. They begged, offering terms I'd have dreamed of a year ago, but I leaned back, my decision already made. I declined their offer, my voice even, my eyes steady. Nexus stays independent, I said, standing to leave. Claire's protest was weak, their confidence shattered as I walked out, the city skyline bright behind me. My plan hadn't been about their money. It was about proving them wrong, about turning their scorn into desperation. Tech forums buzzed with Nexus's rise, Pinnacle's name fading as their portfolio tanked. I didn't need their boardroom or their approval. I had my users, my vision, and the quiet triumph of their regret. Back in my apartment, I checked Nexus's dashboard, its growth a steady pulse. I thought of my parents, their shop struggles, the dream I'd built for them. You did it, Luke, my inner voice said, soft but unyielding. You turned their laughter into silence. I didn't gloat or celebrate. I kept coding, kept building, the San Francisco fog lifting outside. Pinnacle's call was their surrender, and I'd won, not with noise, but with the precision of a vision they couldn't break. The tables had turned, and I was ready to walk my own path. Nexus AI stood tall, its platform now a lifeline for small businesses, its name lighting up tech forums and industry panels across San Francisco. I led from a modest office in the Mission District, my desk cluttered with user feedback and code updates, the Golden Gate Bridge postcard a quiet reminder of my roots. Pinnacle Ventures, once the untouchable giant that mocked my pitch, was fading, its portfolio battered by flops I'd exposed, its partners scrambling to salvage their name. I didn't gloat. I stood by my office window, the city's skyline glowing, and felt the weight of their laughter lift, replaced by the steady hum of my triumph. You built this, my inner voice said, calm and clear, like a key turning home. The industry had shifted. Colleagues who'd echoed Pinnacle's scorn now saw my advice, their emails full of respect for Nexus's growth. Claire's name vanished from tech blogs, her firm's invites ignored at conferences where I spoke, my platform's metrics drawing nods from investors I'd once chased. I thought of my parents, their shop struggles, the late nights I'd coded to honor them. Their pride, captured in that postcard, was alive in Nexus. Every user, every small business thriving, was my answer to Pinnacle's mockery. You didn't win, my inner voice whispered, steady and final. You built. I kept working, my days filled with user calls, code tweaks, and quiet strategy sessions with my small team. We didn't need Pinnacle's glass tower or their millions. Nexus's revenue, driven by loyal users, funded our growth, each milestone a brick in the future I'd envisioned. I saw Claire once, at a startup event, her smile gone, her eyes avoiding mine as she pitched a failing venture. I didn't approach. I didn't need to. My success spoke louder than their laughter ever had. My platform's reach a testament to the vision they dismissed. My apartment, once a war room of plans and pain, was now a place of peace. I sat with a coffee, the city's hum soft through the window, and reflected on the journey, the sting of Pinnacle's rejection, the silence I turned into strength. Their betrayal had forged me, not into a man of anger, but one of precision, patience, and proof. You ended it, Luke, my inner voice murmured, soft but unyielding. You made it real. I didn't need their regret or their deals. I had Nexus, my users, and the quiet justice of a dream realized. Standing in my office, San Francisco's lights stretching beyond, I felt the stillness of a path complete. The humiliation, the isolation, the laughter, they were shadows now, burned away by the light of what I'd built. I called Sam, my voice steady, and shared Nexus's latest milestone, his laugh warm with pride. They thought you'd break, my inner voice said, final and clear. You built instead. Nexus was my legacy, not just for me, but for every small business I'd fought for. I didn't need applause. I had my vision, my truth, and the future I crafted in silence.